unfortunate thing for Blaney is he fought this battle all last year. He was in, he was out, he was in, he was out, and then he ended up out again when the season started.
Martin Truex, the 5th place car, comes to pit road. You saw Scott Riggs in the pit lane as well. And Jimmy Johnson is in. Krista.
Martin Truex running extremely well. In fact, he said his car is pretty darn awesome. They plan to make a slight air pressure adjustment around to the left side. It's a 4-tire change for Martin Truex. Matt.
Chad Canals on top of the box, already calling out the adjustments they're going to make. They felt like they were losing about half a second because the car was so free at the beginning of that run. A close call with a 66 of Riggs as Johnson makes his way to his pit box. Going to make a big change, a track bar adjustment, also a wedge adjustment to try to speed up the car coming in. It was a little too tight near the end, but it was just so free at the beginning and cost him so much time.
David Rudiman made his stop, and he was in 11th place, almost into the top 10. Jimmy Johnson, 19 seconds.
That's a long pit stop.
It is, but they did a lot of work.
Yeah.
They had fenders to pull out. They were making adjustments. That's a long green flag stop.
David Reagan is in, and Kyle Busch coming in. Krista.
And Kyle had just got on his radio and said his right front tire was done. A 4-tire change for Kyle. He said his car tight. In fact, he ranked it in 8, especially in turn 4.
Kevin Harvick pits. He has been running in the 4th position for a long time. Many of the laps he has been running have been faster than the leaders. They have just loosened the car up for him a little bit. It's been tight all night. That's about all he needs to march further forward.
Jamie Mack's been in and out. Kurt Busch, Bill Elliott. Matt.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. gives up the 3rd spot, making his way to Tony Eury Jr. The biggest thing about this car, it was so consistent in practice, but now it's gone both tight and loose. It was turning better that last time. Tony Jr. going to try to fix the car with an air pressure adjustment on this stop. And the 16 leader, Greg Biffle, making his way all the way down to the end of pit road. Biffle's car consistent like it was the last run. It would get tighter at the end of the run, and then that's when he would make his move. Looking to make a change again with a spring rubber. That's what they did on the last stop. Pulled a spring rubber out of the left rear. That could cost them maybe a 1.5 seconds. Solid stop on the right side as they come around the left. Watch the rear changer. Reach inside. And Biffle is finally down and away. Good stop.
Jeff Gordon led a lap. Now he comes to pit road. Matt Kenseth as well. And Denny Hamlin, who led 381 laps last Saturday night at Richmond, is the leader for the first time tonight. Matt.
The 7-time winner is in. He said the car was not bad in turns 1 and 2 at the beginning of the run, tight down in 3 and 4, and then in the middle to the end of this run, he said it was just totally plowing. Steve Letarte going for a air pressure change. Great stop by the 24 guys.
Darrell, this becomes a very nervous time in the race. You have some drivers out there on worn tires, some drivers on brand new tires, and the closing rate is really big.
I heard a number of drivers say that the closing rate was incredible, old tires to new, and we're seeing that right now.
You don't want to pit, Mike.
Patrick Carpentier.
He's actually the leader of the race right now.
Not right now.
They're talking about whether they want to pit, and I don't think he wants to pit out of the lead. Here he comes, though. Stewart just missed his pit road entrance. They're trying to get on pit road.
So Carpentier will pit as Hamlin finishes up. But for David Gilliland and Juan Montoya, we pretty much cycled through this round of pit stops.
Yeah, and it looks like, unlike the last time we had the green flag stops, that Greg Biffle, the 16 car, he's barely going to still have the lead because Kyle Busch in the 18 will be right behind him.
Gilliland in. And here's Dick with Carpentier.
Yeah, Patrick Carpentier, Mike, started in the 43rd position. Dead last, worked his way all the way up to the lead. They were late in pitting in that first round, pitted on lap 70. He has done a brilliant job of driving that race. He had never even seen this place until he got here this weekend.
For the lead, Greg Biffle around Kyle Busch. Now 2 laps ago, they were not so friendly in close quarters.
I think this is the payback right here.
from the Goodyear blimp.
Ooh.
Oh, boy.
That is huge.
How did Biffle save it?
That is huge.
Once again, I think we see a product of this new car with that wing. I think the old car, he spun out.
Yeah, that was huge right there. It's a good thing they had on good tires.
And now Biffle got what he wanted. He got the lead back. But look who's filling up his rearview mirror.
Well, that was a payback. That's what I said. I think it was a payback.
He's not filling up his rearview mirror now. If he looks out the left window, he'll see the 18.
The racetrack. The smarter man will win. Clear.
Do you hear what he said?
Yeah. Let him go. He won't be there at the end. Yeah. We'll see.
Do need to mention that Kyle Petty and Elliott Sadler, they are back out on the racetrack.
239 laps to go in Darlington, South Carolina. .133 laps complete in Darlington. Kyle Busch leading Greg Biffle by 1 second. There's Digger. He's been busy selling plush toys.
Amongst other things, coffee cups.
He got back in that hole before that 18 car came along.
Well, Kyle Busch has been complaining about his brakes.
I don't know what happened to the brakes. No stopping power. I'm getting killed at 3 and 4. I got no brakes to slow down. You have your brake fans on? Yep. This is the most pathetic I think I have ever seen in my whole life.
Now those were several sound bites edited together, but it has been a recurring refrain from the driver who leads this race. And Jeff Hammond, he's still running 29.10s, which are pretty fast laps around here, even with a brake problem.
Mike, you're right about that. He's still getting around this racetrack pretty quick. But let me just talk about maybe what the problem is. This is a smaller caliper, probably what they've got on. More like a super speedway, what we call design, compared to the big one that we normally run at places like Richmond as well as Martinsville. A lot smaller brake pad itself. Again, if you look at this brake pad compared to this brake pad, you can see there's quite a bit of difference in these two. Now, the problem he's running into, he doesn't feel like he's got enough brake to woe the car up. Again, a lot of speed down in these turns, not a lot of rear gear to decelerate the car. So this is what he's concerned with, is right now, do I have enough brake to be able to last this race? If the crew chief is trying to help him out, but you don't know if it's going to work or not. And excuse me, folks, I got to put a brake on this behind me.
Hey, Jeff, I want to have a discussion with you about Kyle Busch and the 18 car. It really has nothing to do with the brakes. I never wanted a driver to be an ear massager to me. Tell me what's wrong with your car, but don't just keep telling me and dragging the crew down by saying it's pathetic. All that does is just drag those guys down, especially when you're leading the race by almost 2 seconds.
You're exactly right, Larry. When you think about something like that, that's not good for team morale. Again, you're talking about exactly what the biggest problem is. You need these guys to get you on and off of pit road, and if you're beating them up, the guys that work on the car, they're going to get down on each other. And what's going to happen, you're going to have a slow pit stop, or something else is going to go wrong, and everything's going to start to kind of like fall apart internally. Pump these guys up. We know you got a problem. We're going to do everything we can to keep on top of it and work with you, but you've got to help us out by just drive the race car, tell us what's wrong with it, and basically quit your whining.
There you go.
You always told me to work your hands and not your mouth. But I'm telling you, it's like I told you a couple weeks ago. They need to put a little a sign. Caution's out. They need a little sign on that button. Do not push in case of unless in case of emergency.
You know, that caution was a big break for Casey Kane in the 9. He just had driven by the 18 car. That'll get Casey back on the lead lap.
And it will give the free pass, we believe, to Clint Boyer. Last week's winner was the first car 1 lap down. The caution is for debris on the front straightaway. There is some of it, and is the 3rd caution flag tonight.
Now this will put everybody back on sequence. Everyone will be to pit road. They will get 4 tires. They'll fill it up with Sunoco race fuel. They'll make adjustments. Everybody will be back on even ground now as far as pit sequence.
I can't tell you how impressed I am with Travis Quapple. That number 28 from Yates Racing. It looks like the car across the way in the Darlington Museum, and it's running like it. He's in 4th place.
I just want to defend a driver a little bit in this conversation that Jeff and Larry just had. If you don't tell them, when you finally do tell them, they say, well, why didn't you tell us? You know, why did you wait till now to tell us? So he's just being sure they get the message. That's all.